lunge to the nurse's station.
I'll never forget where I was when I found out that I needed to get open heart surgery. Not because it was a monumental occasion, but because I was in the janitor's closet of a grade school gym.
Just found out I have to get heart surgery next month, just a couple months before my 26th birthday.
I was doing a nonprofit event for a Marfan syndrome-related charity, and a doctor friend of mine was giving out free echocardiograms in the janitor's closet. Yeah, there you go. As a young person who pays for their own medical care, I know better than to look a gift doctor in the mouth. So I got my scan, and I got the news that I've been anticipating since I first got diagnosed with Marfan syndrome when I was 11, that I would need aortic valve repair surgery. It's kind of the nature of having a degenerative connective tissue disorder like Marfan syndrome. Everything needs fixing at some point. It's just a matter of when, you know? It's kind of like getting a high-mileage used car. You know, it's got a lot of features, cool features, 16 cup holders, racing stripes, but they don't really make parts for this model anymore.
I'm getting open heart surgery tomorrow. Yeah, it's very stressful. It's not something I'd love to have to do, but I think I've gotten to the point now where, like, I've luckily been able to build my last couple months around this surgery, so I've had time to prep for it. I just got back from Europe. Now I got back last night. I have today to prep everything, and then tomorrow morning surgery. And today I also decided to shave my head because I've been wanting to do that, because last time I got surgery, my hair was the bane of my existence, and I've been wanting to try a shaved head for a while anyway, so here we are. Surprise, I'm bald. But yeah, it'll be good. My operation's at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow.
Not my first surgery, and it's not going to be my last. I got a knee correction surgery at 11 where they put plates in my knees. I got a foot correction surgery when I was 12 where they cut both my legs in half and rotated them. And then when I was 17, I got a pectus repair surgery. Not really sure what a pectus is, but mine was broken, so. Yeah, surgery's kind of interesting because it's sustaining a life-threatening injury on purpose. It's a strange concept. Like, if you break your back, you can focus all your energy on getting better. But with surgery, you have up until the moment before to back out. It's like skydiving. You're always glad you did it afterwards, but up until the moment before, you are trying to land that plane. It's crazy. You have to get in a car, go to a hospital, and ask for them to cut you in half. It goes against every survival instinct we have as human beings. The only time I've ever found myself waiting in line to be stabbed was checking in for open heart surgery. Normally more of a right place, right time situation. Surgery, I think I might be the only person my age who has picked out their last meal. Before every surgery, I go to hibachi. Yeah, hell yeah.
Let's see, happy birthday, Puerto Rican. 1, 2, 3.
When you can't eat after midnight, it's the most fun and whimsical and efficient way to get as much food into your body as you physically can. I mean, they are throwing shrimp into your mouth. You're not allowed to eat after midnight before surgery. Gremlin rules. I thought I had it beat this time because you're allowed to have clear liquids up until 5:30 a.m., and clear liquids include Jell-O. So I set an alarm for 5 a.m., proceeded to shove my body full of as much Jell-O and water as I physically could. And at 5:35, I felt like a genius. Nice and full, ready for the day, you know? 5:36 rolls around, I proceed to projectile vomit everything in my body into the toilet. I lost my entire hibachi dinner. Yeah, at one point I look down in the bowl, I see that shrimp I caught in my mouth earlier that night. It's crazy to think that shrimp entered and exited my body at the same velocity.
Classic surgery antics. Jell-O really does hit different at 5 in the morning before your surgery, though.
At this point, I'm not allowed to swallow anything, so I just have to rinse out my mouth and then just keep swallowing my own spit to try to clear the vomit out of my throat. It's great. So this is at 6 a.m., and then I don't have to go into the hospital until 10 a.m. Plenty of time to think about what I've done. So we finally go to the hospital. I get in line to check in for open heart surgery. I'm in my hospital gown. And while I'm waiting to check in for open heart surgery, a surgeon comes around the corner and pretends to dunk on me. There is no context I don't look like a basketball player to people. Not even in a hospital gown. Yeah. Oh, speaking of gowns, let me get changed so I'm in the uniform, you know? All right, 1 second here. All right, here we go. Here we are. Beautiful, huh? Chic, yes. Who designs hospital gowns? Because they're different for every hospital, so someone's working on that. You know, it must pay great. Because I can't imagine selling out harder in fashion. Imagine someone quarterly coming and be like, hey, you finished that new dress that people die in yet? Nope, still picking out which Dixie cup pattern best hides when all their insides come out. Sounds like a depressing workplace.
Almost puked on myself, but we made it.
All right. So when you come out of surgery, they have you chained to the bed so you don't pull out any of your important tubes or wires. And they tell you that before you go under. But by the time I woke up, I was fully convinced that I was under arrest for public indecency. It's pretty crazy. They told my fiance and I that I would be completely zonked out when she first saw me after surgery, which was not the case. I gave her a thumbs up and a wave when she walked in, and that feels like a mistake. When they tell you you should be passed out, you should be passed out. I've never been awake for the breathing tube before, and that feels intentional.
A lot of Reddit said it did not hurt. That is a lie. Definitely hurts.
I remember being so awake that I was like doing half-hearted charades, trying to convince them to take out the breathing tube. Like, rolling my eyes like a teenager on vacation. Yeah. In case you guys aren't familiar with the breathing tube, they essentially shove a leaf blower down your throat to help you keep breathing during surgery. And yes, internal landscaping is very unpleasant. But at least now the HOA will get off my fucking back.
Here's Liam enjoying his pre-op pain medication. How's it feel, Liam? Wee.
This was my first surgery that I had in an adult hospital, not in children's health care. And the differences between the two become apparent very quickly. In children's health care, they care a lot about you being entertained. They come and check on you all the time. They bring like PlayStations to your room. In adult care, my TV was broken for the first 3 days. Just alone with my pain. Yeah. You think your phone dying on a flight is bad? Imagine not being able to lift your phone because you feel like you just survived that plane crashing. It's intense. In children's healthcare, they're always sending in like fast food mascots and football players to come visit you after surgery, but it's always within a couple hours of you coming out of anesthesia. It's when you're most susceptible to corporate advertising. When I was 17, the last surgery I had, I got the Chick-fil-A cow and 2 Minnesota Vikings linebackers about 3 hours after I came to. Before I saw any of my family, I saw the Chick-fil-A cow and a couple of football players. So I just have this vague memory of a giant cow coming into my room with 2 of the most muscular men I've ever seen in my life, handing me a tiny football and a small version of itself, patting me on the head and leaving. Which could be a disturbing image, but I remember feeling very at peace. Because I was convinced for just a moment that I had died, and the one true God, this cow, had brought his muscular henchmen to come let me know that I was in fact a good person. It's pretty nice. All your interactions in the hospital are crazy, because everyone you talk to is either holding a jug of your pee or about to stab you in the arm. It's a real crazy context to talk, to chit-chat with people. I remember everything's weird in the hospital, but everyone treats it so casually. I remember one of my nurses did a really good job on a stomach bandage, and so he wanted to show it off to the rest of his colleagues. So he invites the entire floor's nursing staff into my room and proceeds to just lift my gown. Does a full Marilyn Monroe to show off a mid-stomach dressing. Did not need to do that. It was so flagrant, I'm convinced that might have been a team building exercise. Where they just go around and look at all the patient's genitals. So they have something to talk about at lunch. Yeah. They give you a catheter after surgery, which is like a little vacuum that they sit next to your bed that ghost busts the pee out of you. Yeah. You never notice it happening. The pee just kind of disappears. It's a crazy thing to just casually be wetting the bed for a week. It's a habit I hope doesn't follow me home, but, you know, honestly not the worst habit you can bring home from the hospital, bedwetting. Opiates, for sure, worse. Yeah. Which is why they send you home with those. Yeah. The whole drug culture in the hospital is crazy because these nurses have to give it out constantly. But my only experience with these incredibly controlled substances is like on the news. I had one of my nurses come in and say, "Hey man, you want some of your Oxy?" Don't abbreviate it. This man came in here offering me drugs like an undercover cop on a sting. Like, no Oxy for me, thanks. I'd love my prescribed 5 milligrams of oxycodone, please. Yeah, I have a lot of friends with Marfan syndrome who've had the same procedure. So you get a lot of advice, which is great. But that advice isn't always universal. I had a friend who told me to shave my crotch. Because when he went in for his surgery, they had a nurse shave him before he went under. Which is very embarrassing. And it's a great tip to get. I was planning on doing it, but I ran out of time, so I just kind of took my chances. And then I came to after surgery, and my crotch was untouched. So I think they might have just done that on purpose on him, just for fun, you know? Just to mess with him. Yeah, they didn't shave my crotch, but they did shave all the other weirdest parts of my body. Like they shaved my whole chest except for a circle of hair around each nipple. And then just the inside half of both of my legs. Where they drew on me like a whiteboard. There's a bunch of like drawings when I woke up. And the drawings looked like they were trying to measure my legs. Which doesn't feel necessary for heart surgery. It feels like a thing you do when you're bored waiting for me to wake up.
Said they did end up having to replace my... Did they shave part of my beard? Whoops. All right, well, that's a surprise.
People told me my surgeon was referred to as the Picasso of surgeons, which is a huge compliment that he 100% deserves. But Picasso's not really known for his accurate renderings of the human body. Which makes sense, because my chest feels abstract right now. Yeah.
Dr. Light to the nurse's station.
Oh, shit, it's nighttime. All right, nighttime in the hospital is the absolute worst because they kick out all your loved ones from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m., and then they send in a parade of all the meanest people in the entire hospital. Just every single person who can't be around anyone not on opiates. Yeah, it's tough. One of my first night nurses, she told me I shouldn't have any more water because I need to get my sodium level up. So she's like, "Oh, try some Gatorade." I was like, "Great, can I have some Gatorade?" And she laughed at me. She goes, "Oh, we don't have any of that here." Cool, let me just unplug. I'll go buy some at the store, I guess. It's all about advocating for yourself in the hospital. For the first 2 days, I was in extreme pain. And then on the third day, a doctor came in and was like, "Hey, do you not have a morphine button?" "No, I don't." She's like, "Oh, well, you should have one of those. You should have asked for one of those." Victim blaming, first of all. Yeah. Turns out that's all I had to do was just ask. But that's a crazy question to put on me to ask. Like, "Hey, excuse me, can I get an unlimited supply of a controlled substance, please?" it's a lot to ask, you know?
Got myself a fancy little pain button, which has been very helpful for the pain.
It's all about filing requests in the hospital. You have to file requests for everything you need. You have to file requests to change your AC temperature, to get ketchup, to get salt. Yeah, a lot of corporate red tape around the condiments in the hospital. Morphine available at the touch of a button, but ketchup is a controlled substance. You need those condiments too, because for the first few days, it feels like you are hunting for your food. So you're sleeping most of the day. They'll bring in your meal while you're asleep, set it up somewhere in your room. Nowhere close to your bed, just somewhere on the horizon of your room. And then they expect you to wake up at some point and spot it and eat it. But I fell asleep before I saw my food every single time, and they took it back out, even if I hadn't eaten any of it. So you're just like, you have to pounce before it gets away. The worst part of the hospital at night is there's 1,000 machines that are designed to beep the moment you fall asleep. Like a heat-seeking alarm clock.
Got in front of his favorite game show, fell asleep with this shit beeping all night.
Okay, alright. We'll get you something. Just give us 1 second.
It feels so intentional. I'm pretty sure there's a live stream of me somewhere on the dark web where people can pay to make the machines beep. Because it was right when I fell asleep every single time. Okay, good. We're out of the woods now. Before they let you get up out of bed, they take out your chest tubes. Last time, during my chest surgery, they sent me home with my chest tubes. So my dad ended up taking out my chest tubes. This time, it was a doctor who was horrified by the fact that my dad did it last time.
All right, chest tube and neckline are out. I will never get used to the squeaking that those chest tubes make when they come out. But at least a doctor did it this time.
The chest tubes, they're rubber, so they squeak when they pull them out of you. Yeah, I'll never forget it. It's that little like... And they're not short tubes either. They just keep coming, like the magicians with the scarves. You know? You look down there, they're pulling for 3 minutes. They're still just down there battening the hatches. All right, we'll show off some of the damage here real quick. This is all where you, woo! All right, here we go. So, here we go. This is 3 weeks post-op. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, you think I look bad, you should see the other guy. He has a huge house. So yes, I have what can only be described as 50-cent torso at this point. I look like I've survived multiple shootings. Marfan syndrome heard me talking shit and tried to take me out multiple times. Yeah, it kind of makes sense because all of my material is a Marfan syndrome diss track, essentially. So the beef makes sense. It does feel like Marfan syndrome kind of had men on the inside of this beef. They got my chest and my legs to turn on me first, which I understand. They've always been kind of flaky, but my heart, that cut deep. So looking at the scar, they went in through the same scar that they did for my chest surgery, this one right here. And I understand why the chest surgery scar is right here in the middle, because that's where they did all their work. But the heart is over here. Is that all they do? They just split you open like a baked potato? Just right down the center every time? Like, open her up, I'll know it when I see it. Then it was time for me to move to the step-down unit. And boy, was it a step down. The step-down unit is where they take you after the ICU when you're not in danger of dying as much. There's a lot more people there. Everyone's been there longer, and the care reflects that. My experience in the step-down unit, there was no sunlight in my room. Just a fake painting of Central Park outside of a window that never got light or dark. Like when they paint the zoo animals' natural habitat on the wall. It's, yeah, depressing.
I got my pictures of outside over there. Which is nice. Before it was actual outside, but Can't win them all.
Going to the step-down unit is kind of like going to daycare as a really little kid, because you leave everyone who loves and cares for you behind, and you're just stuck with the people whose job it is to keep you alive. You also get a roommate in the step-down unit, which I've never had after surgery before. The closest I've come was I had a friend my last surgery that I made. Our friendship actually started over a bet. On my pre-op day when I was 17, I went in and I got my blood taken, and I passed out. So the nurse panicked and called a code blue, which is cardiac arrest. So the whole hospital heard about it, and they heard a pectus patient caused a code blue. Well, turns out there was another pectus patient scheduled for that same day, another girl my age named Alice, and everyone in the hospital assumed that she was the one who passed out. She was so frustrated at that assumption that she ended up challenging me via one of the nurses to a healing competition. And we were off from there. I ended up meeting her in person 2 days later when I ended up walking into her hospital room, and I won. Yeah, she didn't walk for another week, so. We bonded, you know, we watched movies together. I ate all of her snacks because she couldn't hold food down for another week. It's good. Yeah, I was really lapping her in recovery, but she started the bet, so that's on her. We were in the hospital for New Year's Eve, so my dad brought in a projector so we could watch the ball drop on the wall. I invited everyone from the floor over, and Alice was on her way. When halfway, right before midnight, she ends up vomiting in the hallway. So I grabbed the little football given to me by the giant cow. And I go do a manual ball drop in the hallway. It was fun. Yeah. We stayed in touch. She ended up inviting me to her senior prom. We wore our surgical chest plates together like a couple of cool guys. It was cute. You know, our relationship was like a John Green novel. Except neither of us fell in love or died, so a really unsatisfying John Green novel. So if this is what a person down the hall was like, imagine how close I was going to get with my roommate. Well, my roommate was an 80-year-old man who slept with his eyes open. And I had to come in and kick his bed every 2 hours to make sure he hadn't died in his sleep. Yeah. So we didn't really get a chance to bond. Although, a couple weeks later, I did get an invite to his funeral. Pretty good. Finally got the John Green ending we were looking for. If you can believe it, my 80-year-old roommate and I were two of the young guns of the hospital. We were two of the youngest people on our floor, which I noticed when I was going in for my pre-op x-rays, and every single person in line was more hunched over than the last person, just ending with a guy laying down, like a reverse evolution of man. Yeah, it's fun though when you're the youngest person by like 40 years, because everything I did was being judged on an 80-year-old man's scale. You know, it's so easy to be the favorite when you're the only one on the floor who doesn't call the nurses slurs. Things happened very suddenly in the hospital. One morning at 8 a.m., I was awoken by a young surgeon coming in. He took a look at my open wounds, told me they looked great, and sent me home. I went home day 4 after the operation, when the typical minimum is 5 days. I have a weird ability to recover quickly after surgery. I always go home early. I've broken a couple hospital records, which is, I guess, a cool power to have. It frustrates the hell out of all my friends with Marfan syndrome. It's cool to have, but I am worried one day I'm going to do it one too many times, and there's going to be a conspiracy theory started about me that I'm faking Marfan syndrome. The ride home from the hospital was pretty rough because you forget how bad New York City roads are on cab suspension until you get cut in half. It's tough, just like New York. First couple days after surgery, I couldn't wear a shirt because the scar hurt too much, so I was just wandering around my apartment, appearing around corners in a medicated daze, just jump scaring my roommates like a horror movie character. It's freaky. There's a lot of pain involved with the recovery, but the most painful movement you can make when you're recovering from a chest surgery is opening a child-proof pill bottle. which is what all my pain meds came in. It's a vicious cycle, you know? I hurt, so I open up my pain meds, which makes me hurt more, so I take more pain meds, which makes me hurt more, so I open up the pain meds, which makes me hurt more. I see what Big Pharma is trying to do here. Everything during recovery that seems minor becomes catastrophic immediately when you have the chest of an unfinished Build-A-Bear. I was eating a taco, and I dropped a chunk of taco onto my bandages. I don't think I've ever run so fast to go clean something off a garment before, like a fancy suit at a wedding, you know? Because it's the most, high stakes stain of my life, because whatever creatures live in a Taco Bell taco, I cannot have them getting into my chest cavity. 2 months later, I'll just have a Doritos Locos taco chest burst out of me like Alien. My chronic back pain is so attention-seeking. Even when I get my chest cut open, my back still somehow manages to hurt more. Can we have one day where things aren't all about you? One of the toughest parts about coming home is being home after the hospital. Because when you're in the hospital, you're constantly getting attention from your loved ones, medical professionals, but that attention is cut off the moment you're not at risk of dropping dead. So you go home, and you're coming off this attention high, and then you're also trying to wean yourself off of opiates. It's a real charcuterie board of withdrawal. It's fun. But then at the end of the day, all you're left with is a scar. It's a fun memory. I like my scars. I think they're cool. Scars are kind of like tattoos for people with actually interesting stories to tell. But the biggest thing I was told by my care team for recovery was to take it easy. So I wrote, produced, and performed a stand-up comedy special 3 weeks later. Thank you, guys.